So here we are asked to show that this particular equation has at least one positive root. How do we do it? Well, basically this example involves an application of the intermediate value theorem, or IVT for short. So that's the basic method here. We apply the intermediate value theorem. So let's just put in a little bit of notation to make things simpler. I'm going to rearrange this equation and call it a g of x. Now why do I do that? Well, it makes the calculations a little simpler, and basically what I want to do is show that g has at least one positive root, a 0, and that's equivalent to showing that this is true. Okay, now the IVT involves two things. It involves continuity, and it involves finding an interval where the function, in this case g, is positive at one end of the interval and negative at the other end of the interval. So let's choose that interval. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose a point that makes g positive. And the easiest way of doing that is just choosing x equals 0. So see, g of 0 is 2 minus 1, which is 1, which is a positive number. So now I want to find another point that makes g negative. And I'm going to choose x equals pi on 2. Why? Because the first term is just 0. So if I choose pi on 2, I get minus, oh, it should be a plus, minus e to the pi on 2, which is of course negative. Okay, so let's consider the interval 0 to pi on 2. The last thing we have to check is that g is continuous on the interval 0 to pi on 2. Now, let's look at g. Well, this is continuous for all values of x. This is continuous for all values of x, so g must be continuous everywhere. Okay, so thus, the IVT applies to g equals 0 on the interval 0 to pi on 2. So what does that mean? Well, this means there is at least one point in the interior of this interval such that g of x naught equals 0. In particular, notice that this is x naught's got to be positive, so it meets this constraint, and g of x naught equals 0 is the same as our original equation holding. So it's a pretty simple application, applying the IVT. Just make sure you check the calculations carefully, and always check for continuity. Okay, it doesn't necessarily hold if you don't have continuity.